Hello, hello. Bonjour, hello. I'm French, so sorry for for that. We're 2:15. We're about to start. So I know it's after lunch. I know it's the second day, so I try to keep you entertained with a lot of music, live demo, dancing, everything. Okay, so before setting up the mood, and I will kill the mood. Um, Everything I will tell you is kind of all forward-looking statements. So it's best if you base your investment decisions on what are actually in the product. And you will have a chance to see it because I will do a live demo with the real product. So you will be able to see what's exactly inside it. All the other slides like roadmap and all, it's all forward-looking statements. So the topic of the day is orchestrating global fresh ingredients delivery through Automation Copilot. So we'll tell a story of a customer, Spartan Nash, and that customer is using Automation Copilot on a daily basis in warehouses and distribution centers. So yeah, we'll have the ability to talk about it. Let me introduce myself a bit, and because I saw my boss doing it yesterday, I also want to do it. Hello, hello. I have plenty of music, you will see. Okay, so I'm Geoffrey, part of the product team at Automation Anywhere. And it's been there since 4 years. I actually come with the acquisition of CleverOps in 2019, and so we've been doing HBC, Attendee 2.0, RE, and now Automation Copilot. So responsible and leading that. So if you have any questions on that, I can answer after. So the case study of today is goods reception in a distribution center. So also the context of actually the So we're in a warehouse. It's a food supply chain, food distribution. It's extremely precise clockwork because nobody loves their cheese mold except French, but not in the US. So you want everything to be fresh, everything to be not damaged, everything to be in the right count. So if you're expecting 2, you want 2. If you're expecting 3, you want 3. And so distribution centers, they are at the heart of the supply chain. Time, accuracy, availability, monitoring, all that matters. And basically Spartan Nash, which is the customer, and thank you for them. The speaker was not able to make it, but there's a video. So Spartan Nash achieving efficiency and customer satisfaction through their distribution center. Now the problem is that one aspect of a warehouse is receiving goods, reception. There are people, which they are called reception clerks, they do that on a daily basis. And when receptions goes, a lot of R for a French guy, receptions goes wrong, this is basically not going well for the rest of the operation. So a single distribution center can usually receive thousands of packages. There's 3 shifts, obviously, because you have to cover 24 hours, 7 days a week. And so as part of that reception, there's a reception clerk, which is hired by the company, by Spartan Nash, and then there's all the drivers. And drivers, their time is precious, their trucks, routes are precise. Everything is basically dependent on the reception clerks to be quick, efficient, and accept the shipment. And you want basically a lot of steps to be done, like matching the orders, looking at the purchase orders, looking at the bill of lading, looking at checking the inventory, reconciliating the ingredient databases, generating proofs, stamps, all that. And the issue is that it's a lot of touch points. Physically, there's a lot of papers, obviously, and digitally, there's a lot of applications to touch. So there's SAP, for example, for the goods, and the database where you have all the goods, the purchase orders in Salesforce, all the stamps and delivery, they're just in Word and SharePoint, receipts in PDF, the entire warehouse system, which is completely custom built and in-house, approvals, inventory, and so on. And so you have all those trucks coming, and you see, I mean, when it's yellow, they're actually unloading or loading, and when it's red, they're just waiting. And it's a lot of money, it's a lot of cost, and when you're dealing with highly perishables food, waiting is not a good thing. So comes Copilot, comes Automation Copilot. And Automation Copilot is basically, there's two users that will follow along during the demo and during the presentation. There's Bria, which is the reception clerk, and Thomas with the glasses, which is the warehouse manager. So they are both working in different applications, in different words, and sometimes different floors. They don't even talk to each other or see each other's. Bria's working SAP. Thomas is likely working like a collaborative app or something like Teams. And so Automation Copilot is here to basically be the glue and be the front interface for Bria and Thomas so that they don't have to deal with all those complex applications and choreography of application and procedures. They just have to interact with Copilot, and under the hood, behind the scene, there's a boss, there's API tasks coming, helping to touch the systems, extract data, push data, update, retrieve, analyze, and everything. So the solution is to have Automation Copilot. So you can see, for example, here, Automation Copilot embedded into SAP, and we'll have a live demo of that. So the reception clerk can leverage basically automation directly into their flow of work, and they can expedite some of the tedious tasks of matching the orders, looking at the bill of lading, extracting information. And so we have this automation basically doing real-time comparison. All the time it's comparing all the data, making sure there's consistency, accuracy, and everything is in order. Identifying like risk as well, like SLA and so on, and generating all the proof that we need. So what I will do is I will show you a video of Vignesh, which is the automation lead at Spartan Nash. He will explain the journey, he will explain what they're doing with Automation Copilot. And just after, we'll do a live show or a live demo of Automation Copilot. So we'll leave you with Vignesh. I don't have music to introduce Vignesh, but yeah.
Spartan Nash is a leading food solutions company, and we are a Fortune 400 company operating on two core segments, the wholesale and the retail piece to it. We are based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Again, the company thrives on the people-first culture with a workforce of 17,500 associates, again, with operating on 147 corporate-owned stores and 20 distribution centers, right? That's serving 2,000 plus independent retailers out there. So in short, we as partners delivering the ingredients for a better life. Some of the key challenges that comes to my mind in no particular orders are operational inefficiencies, end user experiences, data volume, human errors in executing the process, employee engagements, and most importantly, the digital transformation goals, right? Since the company of this size, we have n number of processes that are acting in a siloed way. So as the company is progressing with expansion, it becomes a necessity to adapt some streamlining ways, right, to bring that more efficiency and cumbersome less executions, right? So it automatically needs a methodology that embraces the change in more robust way, which is where I believe an intelligent automation can play a critical role there. Our warehouses are the heart of our operations. Again, one of the key tasks for these warehouses, we call them distribution centers, or to receive the items that are packaged under POs, right, which are come through these transportation channels from all the vendors. There are a lot of human touch points involved in this process, starting from driver, loaders, receiving checkers, clerks, supervisors through the compliance team. So we're talking about 250 plus people who are involving in this process day to day, right? Everyone has a role in this receiving process. Before automation, these operations are very siloed. And integration points are merely none, right? There are a lot of paper-based transactions. So transparency of this process is very less that it takes a days and weeks for the compliance team to even understand the receiving errors, right? Which leads to a lot of repay penalties and put a lot of challenges in the inventory management side, right? Especially this particular automation copilot solution brought us a greater efficiency in terms of having an end-to-end process accomplished, and that brings us like about $1 million savings in about 8 months of having the solution in production, right? So this also saves a good amount of time. And because the process was running like within 5-10 minutes, we have entire POs that get processed, and the drivers are left with documentations that help them to, work against any dispute. So there is $1 million savings, and which includes a number of hourly savings from the associates. With the fast changing nature of the business, right? Time and how quickly you execute the process becomes a more of an opportunistic way, right? So this is where we feel like a generative AI going to come in hands. Again, with the intelligent automation in place, right? Generative AI would be a top layer to that, which can give those quick data analysis and help us to break down the big data volumes out there and help us to process or execute the process in a more faster way.
1 million in saved in 8 months. I was supposed to be a big bang, but yesterday was 120 in 3 weeks. So that's how it is. Okay, so let's go into live demo, and hopefully this will clarify. So I won't do exactly the same use case as Spartan Nash because they have their secret sauce. I will do something that is resonating in almost the same flow and same use case. So what we'll do, we will start in SAP with Bria, the reception clerk. We'll action Copilot from there, and then we'll go to Thomas in Teams, which will approve part of the process and part of the reception. And then we can jump into Marcus, the pro developer, and basically looking at how it's done, looking at the process, looking at some of the API tasks, some of the forms, to give you an idea of how it's done. Let's change that. Let's go into here. Okay, so that's my SAP. I'm Bria. I will, I have to be consistent with my jokes. So, okay. So we're in the warehouse. We're Bria, basically, and we have a driver coming in. I will need a victim, and I will need a driver. Who wants to be the driver in the scenario? You. Eye contact. Never do eye contact. I mean, all of them were just no. Okay, so you're the driver. So hello, Mr. Driver. You have a nice drive. Okay, so I'm Bria. I'm in SAP, but actually SAP won't really help me in my flow. So I'm opening Automation Copilot. SAP is known, internally as being done by another team. It's complex to implement, to have Copilot inside SAP. So we found a good solution. We have the Chrome extension here, which is also part of Copilot, and we can click on it, and we have this Automation Copilot going on top of SAP as an overlay. And we can see here all the different processes we can launch and that are relevant to our work. So we'll start with the reception flow. So did you drop the trailer, or was it a live load? It's a live load, indeed, indeed. So your truck ID, it's a 4-digit number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I wanted to, you know, to trick you into giving me your phone 4-digit or your card 4 digits, but it's not working. I suppose we'll do 5, 6, 7, 8 for the driver ID. But check out the number. So luckily you don't have it on you, but I saw you. You gave us the bill of lading just before coming. So we have that in our system. The bill of lading, and I can see something here interesting. It's the purchase order number. So bill of lading and purchase order, they're all very good friends together. So let's have this purchase order, and it's 008 547 008 547. Okay, so we'll also add the bill of lading that you've seen. That's the exact same PDF, and we'll upload that and add it. So now what's coming into what's interesting is that we're leveraging document automation with GenAI, and that was released like days ago on .13 release. That we're adding the bill of lading. So bill of lading is one of the semi-structured document that we can actually process, and so here we're processing the document, and document automation is working for us, extracting all the information from the document. So at the same time, I mean, Copilot being Copilot, you can still navigate into your application. You're not forced to wait for the bot or for the API task or for whatever. You can still pretty much continue. You could also launch another process having another driver in front of you, and you can do that. And you can access here all the activities, and you can look at basically the latest we had. Document automation. It's a great solution, but it's not perfect. Sometimes you have to validate a field. Sometimes you have to make sure that the extraction goes right. So for example, in that case, we see the bill of lading. We see all the information from the bill of lading. And as part of that, we understand that there's different lines, items in the bill of lading. And document automation can at least say, I mean, you have a lot of items, and pretty much there's too much lines. So what we'll do, our responsibility as a user, human in the loop, is to remove those rows and making sure that actually the validation that comes into play here is that we're making sure the model. Actually, we'll do it let's do it here. I'll do it here. So I'm removing all the lines and making sure that next time, if I'm asking the same document, there won't be extra lines. So we'll learn from that. So extracted all the information, and it's assigned to me. Let's assign to me. Yep. So submitting. Okay, and now there's other steps involved in the process. Basically, we have an API task which will just be launched here and in progress and retrieving the purchase order. Basically, it sits in Salesforce. But as Bria, I don't want to go into Salesforce and type and have the purchase order number and so on. I have so much to do, so much to remember. So actually here, everything is done for me. And I can see the progress. I can see that it's being done. So like I said, automation Copilot, it's an interface where you can see your automations. You can also see your tasks. So it's interesting to see that basically when the automation is coming back to us here, it's coming back to us with information. Let's now go into the details of what you're actually loading or unloading. So what was in your truck exactly? Oh, really? Really? Okay. So bill of lading said 2 green teas and 2 black teas, and I will count with you. Basically, 1, 2, 3 black teas. So in a logistic way, that's called an average. 1 green tea. Try to, I knew you were French, so That's why I'm missing something. One guarantee, so basically it is what we're calling a shortage. So now we have this automation, which is, I mean, I'm doing a bit of the show, but it's quite magic because purchase order, you have all the information from the purchase order, it's all digital, it's all here in your system. The bill of lading was not in our system, it was semi-structure, something that we scan when the driver came in, and we scan and we're passing that to document automation. Now it's digital, so now we can do comparison. And you will see it's very easy to do that. And so we have side by side purchase order, bill of lading. As a user, I don't even have to analyze. It's simple. You can, it's a shortage one way, it's an average and the other way. I basically know that here this pretty much won't go well if I just go on with the reception. There's something missing. There's something which is there's too much quantity on one side. So I will send to approval, and I will send that to my colleague Thomas, saying, yeah, basically there's something fishy. The guy was just fishy. It was nice, but fishy. And so he tried to, give us a wrong quantity. So what we're doing here is that we're also notifying the approver. We're notifying Thomas in Teams because, Thomas is all about Teams, all about working in the collaborative fashion. And so, switching context. Now I'm Thomas. Try to have a deeper voice. So I'm Thomas. I'm here. I'm in Teams. I'm doing something in Teams. I'm not waiting for Copilot. So I already have job to be done. But I see here like a new notification, an activity, and I can click on it and say, oh, Bria created an approval for me. So that's powerful because we're going to the user, we're going to Thomas, and we're not waiting for Thomas to, for example, connect to an application, refresh, and look again. So it's real time, and that's how we enforce SLA, basically. So we can open this approval task. Thomas could have Copilot anywhere. Could have Copilot on the desktop, for example. There could be a desktop assistant, which is a lightweight desktop application. Could be on the web. It could be in Salesforce or SAP, but it is also on Teams. It happens to be on Teams. So when as Thomas, you can look into your automation Copilot in Teams. So little to no disruption to what you're doing, to your actual work. I'm just checking the time because I have a lot of jokes after. So purchase order number, we'll look, all the information. So we're providing basically the key information to Thomas to make a decision. We're saying there's a purchase order quantity, there's a bill of lading, there's a shortage, average, all that information. We can go a little bit further on that use case. I took the liberty of improving the use case from Spartan Nash. You can take that table, send it to GenAI model, for example, OpenAI, using the package that we have, and you can ask, yeah, basically we have a specific rules in terms of tolerance and of how much shortage, how much average we can have, and so on. You give the table, you give the rules, you have all your prompt, and the model is giving you a recommended action. And in that case, this approving. So Thomas saying, wow, I mean, the AI is pretty smart. I have approved. Anyway, it's guaranteed in black tea. It's not like it won't do any wrong. So we can approve, and approving is a compliance aspect. It's not just, we're not calling approving just because of the word. It's because it has a meaning. For example, if you happen to have like a complaint, we're calling that OSD claim. You have to claim back because at some point someone will have to pay for the green tea missing and somehow have to reimburse the black tea. So we approve, and there's a trust and there's a track, and we can see all the different comments from the different approvers. In that case, that's only Thomas. So you can say, looks good to me. Under tolerance, because usually there's a tolerance. You don't have the driver go back for like a small amount or a specific percentage. So we can approve, and we're all done on Thomas' side. And so now we can be back to Bria, and actually, I'll just close that. We can see that Bria, she went to another, driver. She went to another place. She was just working on something else, and so you can see here that it will be notified back to Bria. Yeah, that's. I'm interfering with the demo boots. So let's have a look where it's going. Because now we have the demo boots at the same time. They're doing a lot of stuff. Insurance quote. It's all about insurance quote. Okay, let's go back to. Oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah, it was taking a little bit of time because we had to basically do the proof of delivery and having the scan. So there's a proof of delivery. There's the QR code. The driver can have that on the phone. Usually they have like a, just like at the entry, someone with scanning you and drivers they have the same. They have a device. They scan and the proof of delivery is in their system and now everything's good. And so that's basically the end. So for RIA, which you can just end the process, have another hopefully honest driver this time, and go on. So that's the end of the demo. And as usual, I just want to end that with a good note. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to my partner in crime as well. Okay, so I can go back to the PowerPoint. Oh no, there's Marcus. Forgot about Marcus. Silly Marcus. Okay, let's see how it's done now. I'm pretty sure a lot of you wants to see what's. Thank you, Barry, Bobby. Okay, so this is basically the reception flow. Let me let's check out this thing so you can see the entire process. We'll check out the entire dependencies. You're familiar with that view, I suppose, so I won't go into the detail. Okay, so I'm inside the process, so that's the reception flow process. You can see there's a lot of things happening basically here. It all starts with the entry form, where you have the entry for BRIA to give the driver ID, reception ID, purchase order number, and so on. We have the document automation, and you will see that's a very complex bot. I spent days building. It's just one package, it's as simple as that. You have a document automation package and you can extract information, you're passing the document. We're making sure that the document goes rightly from BRIA screen to the server, to document automation, and all that data is flowing in securely. And then we have this document validation task, same, we just provide the document ID, and obviously we have some rules and maybe a more likely real process will have more rules inside, more if, else, and conditions and pass, but in that case we're this happy pass. And we can have an API task fetching the purchase orders, so all that information. Form task, just something which is cool in the form. So you see it's like aggregation of tasks, high level. So it's basically you can almost be an analyst or a business user and understand what's going on in the process, because it goes from a bot to a user through an API and so on. It's very human readable, and that's the point of the process, is to be at that level of abstraction. So for example, here we can have rules inside the form, which is a cool feature. I don't know if some of you know about that, but we can have, for example, bill of lading and compare the bill of lading with the purchase order quantity and have a rule says if this is greater, basically set that as an average, this is lower, set that as a shortage. So we can have rules also within the interface for the user. So it's pretty powerful. I could have the same rule inside the bot or API task or the process, but it's cool to have that in the form, because eventually if the user is typing and changing the data, we can adjust also the rules and the response. So we have this process. I can go on. For example, API test. Let's have a look at what is an API test. Basically a bot, and in that case, I'm just calling the Microsoft Teams API. So it's just pure REST service with some data and we can have dynamic data here. You see all the packages like Salesforce, ServiceNow, SharePoint, in all the REST services, all the Microsoft. So it's where you will, and obviously all the generative AI packages that we have with all the Amazon and Google of the world. So this is very powerful. This is exactly like a bot. Same structure, same editor, so you won't be feeling lost or confused by a new interface. So you can use this API task. And so that is basically what Marcus is doing, you know, chaining form to API, API to users, and so on. Something we added recently is the approval part, the approval task. So you can be much more granular in which users, which teams, which groups you're targeting. So in that case, for example, I can target a specific team of supervisor, and Thomas is part of that team. I can also understand who basically requested that approval, who has to be assigned to that approval. So there is very fine-grained control over that. And if you couple that with the fact that we have expiration, timeout, SLA, you get to a process which is pretty much doing your workforce management for you. So obviously, if you're familiar with the process, it's also where we map data. The important part of the process is mapping the data flow between what's coming from a form to a user, to a bot, and what's from the automation to the user, and back and forth. Okay, so that's basically from Marcus' side. Ending, closing comment. That was so. We'll go very fast because I want to leave time for questions. This is a slide you've seen in the video, basically about Spartan Nash, about their use case. Some of the important points are back here on the left, at bottom left, is savings of $1 million in just 8 months, going from 8 minutes to 1 minute per transaction, and basically no error because the bots, the automations, they're never failing to compare a purchase order and a bill of lading. So that's great. If we wanted to take things a little bit further, like Vignesh said, we could have generative AI in that use case much more prominent. So you've seen that, for example, we can have unstructured, semi-structured documents that could be processed with document automation, especially semi-structured data like bill of lading. So it's a way to integrate generative AI because that's powered by generative AI. We can have next best actions, so we can feed the data, for example, a table to the OpenAI or to the generative AI like Google or AWS Bedrock or Google Palm, and you will have those best actions. Also optimizing, for example, inventory. We can maybe increase the accuracy and the complexity of the proof of delivery because ultimately it's a word, it's a PDF, there are words, so we could generate as well that. As a closing slide and comment, a few slides on what's exciting about Copilot. If you have to, takeaways, you embed that into any web application, and plus Microsoft Teams, which isn't a web application technically. So you can embed into any web application. Whenever the users are, you have Copilot, and they can use Copilot. You expand basically the use case, because now with Gen AI, you've seen, you can expand the number of items we can process, number of things we can do. And we have those built-in guardrails because human in the loop is there, so we can validate exactly what was done. And there's always a user validating the document or approving. This automation, Copilot and generative AI is available for every team. With this use case was supply chain, warehouse, distribution center. It can apply to any industry, any vertical. So you can have that for employee productivity, customer service, more complex document processing. And there are all kind of use cases across the company and across departments and verticals. And I think if you go by the demo booth, you will see the variety of use cases an industry can touch. And finally, because we never have enough of that slide, this is the system of work. So like I said, productivity at the top with automation. Copilot for business users, that was the topic of today, and then for automators, which was also, there was a few sessions on automators, and you have also the demo booth. Process orchestration, we've seen that. Process composer, this is the process orchestration layer, which have together all the AI automation components, and we have this trust and scale at the bottom. So thank you. Don't think I have music for closing. It's a shame. I should have thought about that. But yeah, if you have any question, open to it. We have like 10 minutes question, and then after that, I'm available. Do we have a second mic or?
So does this allow for outside of the organization if there's workflows? So I could see this, we have some use cases with like rewards programs where our contractors or builders will send us rewards, and it's based on information for how much product they purchase, what it is, all that information. It's very error prone. It's Excel spreadsheets that's being brought in, we have to read. So some of the things we can correct internally, but some things we have to go back to the distributor for. So is there a capability to go outside of the network with that workflow, or does it have to stay within?
I mean, it all depends on your policy and guidelines from your IT. But for example, Hasbro, they were doing a presentation, I think yesterday. Hasbro, they're using that with their OEM. Yeah, they're using that with their OEM suppliers. So it's actually external company and suppliers. They're given access to it, and they can upload forms. Basically, they're duplicating or replicating SAP form they have internally, and they don't want to expose the SAP form, so they expose Copilot to their external suppliers, and you can have that. So pretty much doable. Maybe it's just a matter of, yeah, exactly.
All right, I have a quick question about redundancy and risk, because when you're exposing automation directly to the receptionist in this case, for example, right? If something doesn't go as planned, and we know bots are susceptible to failure, what's the backdrop and what's the recourse for the situation like that?
So you've seen in the process, Composer, that there's a happy path that we all wish we go through every day, but there's always a happy path, and you can implement that into the process. So I would say multi levels of failure. We always have ways to prevent failures and catch them in a bot. Otherwise, you can also catch that into the process. What's interesting is when the failure is actually making sense to you. It's like a business exception or business failure. Then you can route that to a user and say, hey, supplier is missing in the system. Can you add it? And when you're adding the supplier, just click on next, and then I can go back to the bot and I can go back to the automation. So there's those kind of failures. Obviously, if this is kind of a system failure and like the machine is disconnected or device is disconnected, then it will go into a different route. It won't go to a business user because they will say, oh, well, I don't know about that. But then it's built into your bot, built into your device management that you will have all that.
Is it possible to use Copilot purely for progress, for users to easily visualize the progress of a task that they've submitted to a bot, or like for automated processes that like don't necessarily have like a human input? Is it possible to purely use Copilot for to visualize progress of a bot?
Yeah, effectively, it's hard maybe if you're new to Copilot, because I threw everything I could in the demo. There's a lot of different tasks and a lot of different interactions. That concept all started with just simple, we say fire and forget. You fire the automation, whether it's a bot or an API, and as a user, you kind of forget about it because it won't go back to you for a question. Actually, the fire and forget in the business language, it doesn't exist because it's always fire and monitor. Fire and look at it, fire and wait and check if this is not going in the limbo. So yeah, you can definitely use that, and there's plenty of people here that are using that with just simple use case of give me some inputs, I'm launching the automation, giving you the status, the in progress, and it can go back. You can even have purely like unattended processes that are going through, and you're just triggered or scheduled, and you can have them. And just because of that Copilot interface, people can have a business view of those processes. Because sometimes it makes more sense that bot 1, 2, 3 running makes less sense that if you have PO 123 running, and so yeah, it can be used like that.
So it's a little bit of a follow-up question to the first question. So in the browser, when you launch the Copilot extension, what is your login at that point? Is it your Windows credentials or your OS credentials? Is it your system of record credentials? Is it a control room account credential? How does that kind of tie together? Because then for external users, in theory, if they have a control room account, they could open their web browser anywhere and potentially be able to interface with those Copilot actions.
Yeah. So. Okay, the tricky question just at the end. Thanks. Yeah, so it all depends on how your control room or specific system is set up. You can have effectively login credentials like like the way I've not shown, but login, password, you connect. You can also have SSO, SAML2 integration. For example, internally we use that with Okta. Basically, we're logged into Okta, so we're logged into our Copilot, and that's how we use it. At the Windows OS level, I have to check, but I suppose if they support SAML2 and AD, then it's okay. Exactly. So that's why it's okay for external suppliers to also be doing that. And you had a question about green tea. Well, no, licensing. Licensing Copilot is the same as what you were calling ARI license. So it all goes into that. The extension comes into that. So if you have Copilot, you can use the extension, the web app, the desktop assistant, or the embedded way. So it all comes down to the same license. Yeah. Sometimes for okay.
So in a lot of manufacturing and logistics use cases, we would have people start on one device and finish the workflow on another device. And so I saw embedded in Teams, if you start, that process maybe on your laptop and then you have maybe a mobile device, will it follow you along and you can kind of, go between devices?
Yep. So it's a web application. So basically you can connect from anywhere. It will follow you. So if you can start on the desktop, you can finish on the phone, on a mobile device, and it will follow you. Yeah, it will keep the same state. And while Bria, for example, is in Copilot, the automation is not waiting for Bria. The automation is not checking. Oh, is Bria connected? So no, Bria could disconnect, could go away. Go away. Walk away, not go away. It's a little bit tragic, but yeah, no, that's it's following. Cool. Right on time. Okay, so if you want some more information, let me know. I'm available. If you want some music recommendation as well, I can do. And I have some black tea and green tea left over, so help yourself.